we have very fortunate to have one of the ALG team members, and ALG is the Australia and New Zealand only not-for-profit blood cancer clinical trial research group. And it's actually the national meeting this week, and we're all doing it virtual as everyone else. So thank you for Kate for coming in and having a bit of an update on the work that she does. But I'd like to introduce Kate Halford. And she's the Partnerships and Fundraising Manager at the Australian Leukaemia and Lymphoma ALG group. And as I mentioned, it's the only not-for-profit blood cancer clinical trial research group. And in her role, she oversees relationships with key patient foundations, industry partners, and philanthropic, I always stumble over that word, sorry, groups that supports ALG members and to coordinate government funding grants. And she looks after all the ALG donors and fundraisers, help to raise funds for the blood cancer clinical trials across Australia. And as I mentioned, this week's our national meetings, and glad you took some time out of your busy schedule. Thank you, Kate.
My pleasure.
There's a bit of an update on her role and what's going on across Australia. So I'll just get out of here. There she
Thanks,
is.
Donna.
Welcome.
And hopefully you've got my presentation there.
I do. Just give
Beautiful.
me 2 seconds.
Thanks.
I don't know why I just took that off there. I'll put it back on there.
Well, hi everyone. Nice to see you all virtually. And I apologise in advance. I am homeschooling at the moment as well as working from home. So if there's some noise in the background, that would be my 2 primary school age children. So yeah, thanks Donna for the introduction. And as you said, I'm here to speak about the Australian Leukaemia and Lymphoma Group, or ALLG as it's known, and give you an update on who we are and what we do, and also to give you an update on our current lymphoma trials and those we've got in the pipeline as well. So I'll just get you to click forward, Donna, please. Thank you. So we are the only not-for-profit collaborative blood cancer research group, which means our members are made up of haematologists and oncologists across Australia, as well as scientists, nurses and clinical trial staff, transplant specialists and trainees as well. And our members work together to conduct world-class investigator-initiated clinical trials, and we've been doing that for 46 years across Australia and New Zealand. We've got 940 plus members across the 2 countries at over 92 hospitals, and we have about 462 haematologists in that group, which is a huge proportion of the about 550 haematologists around the country. So we're a really important group that represents a lot of the haematologists. And another important thing to note about the ALLG is that our investigator-initiated trials are not tied to pharmaceutical companies. So our members work together like they are this week at our scientific meeting to workshop the most important research questions across the different blood cancer disease groups, and they work together to develop the most appropriate studies for the Australia-New Zealand patient cohort. So that's a unique thing about the ALLG. And as Donna said, we are meeting virtually this week, so we've actually got about 380 members online today in various meetings, and throughout the week we'll be going into all the different working party meetings, including the lymphoma sessions on the weekend. Which is very exciting for us to be doing it all virtually, and important to come together and keep progressing research even in this strange COVID time that we're in. Thanks, Donna. So our mission is to provide better treatments and better lives to blood cancer patients, and we do this basically through conducting clinical trials. So since 1973, we've conducted over 160 clinical trials into blood cancers, including lymphoma, leukemia, myeloma, MDS and amyloidosis, amongst others. And we've actually put over 10,000 patients on clinical trials across that time in Australia and New Zealand. So the unique thing, as I said, is that we work with our member clinicians and haematologists to help them progress their clinical trial ideas. And all of their research studies are about how they can improve the lives of blood cancer patients through advancing the research into those diseases, enhancing standards of care and clinical practice in hospital sites and with GPs, and also bringing in innovative international treatments and clinical trials into Australia. Because the population of Australia and New Zealand is small, often we're not able to start up a trial into a very niche sort of area on our own, and we bring an international trial into the country instead, so we're part of a wider international cohort. So we have one at the moment where we're going to provide 120 patients towards a cohort of 1,000 worldwide. So this enables Australian patients to still have access to these treatments, which are the most cutting edge treatments globally in many cases, and for Australian scientists to be part of the research as well. Thanks, Donna. So clinical trials, as I said, are essential for improving the treatments and disease outcomes. Any new treatment that's being considered must go through clinical trials and be proven as the best standard of care and being taken into clinical practice guidelines. So our clinical trials come across different phases. Phase 2 and phase 3 are ones that we're most normally associated with, where we're actually trialling out that drug product into a patient cohort in hospital after doing the initial tests. We help provide our members and clinicians, our haematologists, who are your doctors, access to these new treatments and the new studies as well at their sites. And we also contribute to improving medical knowledge globally. The outcomes of some of our trials have actually changed clinical practice around the world for some of the diseases in the blood cancer area. So Australia ranks probably about in the middle globally for clinical trial activity per capita. We're pretty good. We have quite a strong program across the different groups, and we actually have 13 cooperative clinical trial groups across cancers in Australia, as well as pharmaceutical trials and other investigator trials as well. And the government and industry invest about $1 billion annually into clinical trials in Australia to advance the studies. And a big proportion of that also includes funding to bring international trials into Australia. Thanks, Donna. So if you look at our ALLG trials, we've had probably an equal proportion of lymphoma and leukemia. Lymphoma might be just the bigger one there. And we currently have 68 open trials at the moment, including 16 that are recruiting to patients this year, and then others that are in active treatment phase and in closeout, which means we're analysing results and putting those forward for next steps for clinical guidelines. Thanks, Donna. So currently we've got a number of lymphoma trials that are open to recruitment in Australia. The first one I'll talk quickly about is the NHL 30 Portraya trial, which is a UK-led trial by the University of Liverpool Clinical Trials Unit, and is led by Chief Investigator and Member Associate Professor Judith Trotman. And Judith is a international expert in lymphoma. We're very lucky to have her based out of Concord Hospital in Sydney. And this is a phase 2 study of patients being treated for relapsed follicular lymphoma. And it's testing a new treatment, a consolidation treatment being added to the normal maintenance therapy in those that have remained PET scan positive after initial treatment. The Portraya trial is currently open to 120 patients across Australia, across 15 sites, and has 13 patients recruited. So that one will be open for approximately another 2.5 years for recruitment at this stage. We also have NHL 31 with our Chief Investigator, Professor Meher Gandhi, and he is the CEO of the Marta Research Institute and also the Director of the Blood Cancer Research Group there. And this trial is for EBV, which is Epstein-Barr virus positive brain or systemic B-cell lymphomas. And this is a phase 1 trial, which is trialling a new treatment, which, as you can see there, includes a number of different things. Antibodies, immunotherapies, antivirals, and then some T cells as well. And this is a small trial open to 20 patients, and we've currently recruited 8. Thanks, Donna. And then another international trial that we have open in Australia at the moment, which is in collaboration with the German Hodgkin Study Group and being led by Professor Mark Hertzberg at Prince of Wales in New South Wales. This is a phase 2 treatment optimisation trial. So this is where we are looking at the first line treatment in advanced stage Hodgkin lymphoma, and we're comparing the standard of care treatment with an experimental treatment. And this is open to 100 patients at the moment, and we've currently recruited 93. And this also has an extra 950 patients worldwide on this trial. So a really big cohort to get some results from there. Thank you. And in the pipeline, we've got a few trials as well. So NHL 32 is a phase 2 clinical trial for primary central nervous system lymphoma, and it's trialling, and I always get the names wrong, so I won't try and say it, a new drug as maintenance therapy, which is following chemoimmunotherapy. So this trial is currently in development. We're awaiting some funding sources, and we're hoping to open late this year for recruitment for primary central nervous system lymphoma. We also have NHL 33, and the chief investigator there is Associate Professor Eliza Hawkes, who again is a Australian and international expert in lymphoma and leads the Australian Lymphoma Alliance. Eliza is one of our members and our chair of our lymphoma scientific working party. This study is going to be a window study to identify the safety of a new treatment combination for mantle cell lymphoma. A window study is an interesting type of study. It's a trial where a new compound is given to a patient between diagnosis and the standard treatment. And because it's given in this window, it gives a chance for researchers to evaluate the drugs in an unbiased setting. So it's a relatively new type of trial that we're getting off the ground there. Thanks, Donna. And then NHL 34 is another trial that we have coming, and we're hoping to start recruitment towards the end of this year or early next year, and again led by Maher up at Marta Research Institute. And this is for early relapse diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. And this trial is called the Clarify trial, and it will be about clarifying the role of the early application of CAR T cells in primary refractory and early relapsed DLBCL. So it will be open to 160 patients in Australia. And I know Dr. Michael Dickinson, who is an ALLG member, will be talking about CAR T cells later today, so I'll let him talk about that as he's the expert. But briefly, CAR T cells use a patient's own T cells and genetically re-engineer those cells to produce specific receptors called chimeric antigen receptors, or CARs. These T cells can then recognise and kill cells that have a specific antigen on a cell, such as a cancer cell in the patient. And it's a very exciting form of personalised medicine for cancer patients that can actually activate your own immune system to treat that cancer. So there's a lot of research going on to CAR T cells at the moment too. So looking forward to that trial getting up and running. Thanks, Donna. So if you would like to get involved in research, it's a really important way for us to make advances in treatment for lymphoma and other blood cancers. There are lots of ways that you can get involved. First step is to talk to your doctor or your haematologist about what's relevant for you and your lymphoma diagnosis. The ALLG is a good source of research opportunities and clinical trials, as you've just seen. If you're eligible, you might be able to take part in a clinical trial if that fits your diagnosis and your treatment. You can also get involved in research surveys, which help us understand more about different diagnoses and patient experiences and outcomes as well, which is important. Or you might be able to provide blood samples for biomarker or molecular studies, which help scientists understand specific markers that come up in tests that might lead to better targeted treatments down the track. So if you'd like to find out more, please visit our website at www.allg.org.au. There's lots of information on there, including information about the trials in different areas, and you can also get in touch with me if you have any questions too. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? There we go.
Sorry, I'm having trouble. Oh, you're there.
Okay.
I was having trouble getting off the mute, but someone's just helped me, so thank you. I'm just trying to get the questions up. I think there was a couple of questions. Hang on. My video. Oh, I'm back again. Tops. Sorry, it's flicked to the top. I don't think there's any questions at the moment. Okay, so thank you so. Oh, here we are. Thank you so much. I think that was a really good overview, and I think it's really important for patients to know that there are these clinical trials out there. In Australia are very, very invested and special organisations such as ALLG are very, very invested in providing these clinical trials to see how we can improve, and we have a really good stamp on in comparison to the rest of the world too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and there are, sorry, just to check in, there are other ways too to find out more about it. And I see Josie has actually sent a note there saying for a list of trials that might be relevant to you, you can email you guys, and you can also visit the Clinical Trial Refer app, which is a good source of information on other trials, which include pharmaceutical trials as well.
Perfect, yeah, and we have them all listed as well. We do have an Understanding Clinical Trials fact sheet on the Lymphoma Australia website, and we have a list of all those websites and apps that you can look at to see what's around your area, or if you're happy to travel into another state even, at least we've got those listed there as well. So it's really important to be aware of that. So thank you so much for coming along and giving us a bit of insight into what's going on, and good luck with the rest of your week.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you.